start morning to each one of you. I hope the weekend vibes have already started kicking in. Let's make it more powerful and motivational with today's session. I, Mahima Sindhi, on behalf of the entire MMDU family, extend a hearty welcome to each one of you to our series of live sessions where we bring expert professionals and celebrated artists on board to share their pearls of wisdom and their juices of life experiences to learn from. In the words of Pele, success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing. They say success depends on the second letter, that is you. On the same note, let us hear an inspiring tale on finding success within and virtually taste the fruits of life voyage of none other than an ex-IAS, a motivational TEDx speaker, Mr. Vivek Atray. We will have Sir on the screen after a short break.
पापा ये थोड़ा मेरी तरफ से।
ओ बेटा बाप को पैसे दे रहा है।
अरे नहीं पापा, इट्स जस्ट अ थैंक्स।
किस बात का?
वो आपने कहा था ना, कहाँ पढ़ना है वो फैसला बड़ा होता है। जिंदगी के 4 साल का सवाल नहीं, सवाल पूरी जिंदगी का है।
Maharishi Markandeeshwar deemed to be University, Maulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
We'll have Sir join in very shortly and then I shall take the opportunity to formally introduce Sir. Can I request the backend team to have Sir on the screen, please? Hello, Sir. Warm greetings. How are you?
Hello, Mahima. How are you? A pleasure to be here for the college, and it's a great institution. Looking forward to this session.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a pleasure to share the screen for the second time. I remember we met last time in the international conference, and now we are here for the live talk. So it's always been great being connected with you, sir. Yes. So let me take this opportunity to formally introduce Sir. Mr. Vivek Atray, an ex-IAS, is a motivational TEDx speaker, author of Finding Success Within, a mentor, an advisor, a columnist, and a visiting professor. Sir has delivered 8 TEDx talks and 3 Josh talks. His accolades include a reach of over 3 million views on his YouTube channel. He is an acclaimed orator and has delivered his addresses in India and in events abroad such as Horizons, NASCOM, CII, TIE, NCGG, Lasbana, IIFT, ISB, universities, colleges, schools, and varied private companies. He is the chairman of the Uganda Center for Theology and a visiting professor at Shulini University, founder of Suvichar Think Tank, chairman of the Public Relations Council of India, PRCI Chandigarh, impaneled with Speaking Minds, International Speakers Bureau, member of the Governor's Advisory Council for Chandigarh, founder of the Vibrant Networking Forum, Chandigarh Literary Society, and co-convener of InTouch Chandigarh, and the list just goes endless. Let us discover some insights of his inspiring journey. Sir, we've received a couple of questions from the audiences, and via that, we'll get to know how can one find success within. So if you allow.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. So the first question that I have for you is, so you happen to be an all-rounder, we all know. I already see my comment section being flooded already, and you've been excelling in all that you do. So how has your early life been being an IAS, and how did you reach where you are today? Was it always an easy ride? Although it seems it was an easy ride, but I'm sure there were hurdles which you had to overcome. So can you please share your journey with us?
Yes, thank you again for your question. It's a pleasure to be here. A good question, Mahima. So basically, life is a journey. There is no destination as such. In my view, happiness is the only destination. Success comes from happiness. We'll talk about that later, of course. But in my journey, I was obviously there were obstacles, there were troubles, there were burdens, but there were also many positive, happy moments. So I started out being a cricketer, and I was an under-19 cricketer at the Sikh and Idu level. I played twice, and that was good for me. But I realized that either I have to get better at cricket or I have to go for engineering after my 12th. It was a tough decision, and my father said that you better study engineering, and he was right, because either I was to play for India or there was no point at that time playing cricket for a state or region. Today, of course, there are about 500 Indian players who are playing at a top level in IPL or other things, and they are reasonably well off, I guess. So, but at that time, I had to make a choice, and I went for engineering. Then I came by circumstance into the Haryana Civil Service, and then I got promoted to the IAS after about 17 years. And the IAS also I spent 7 or 8 years, and it was a great journey. No doubt there were hurdles, but yes, an all-rounder is someone who is multi-dimensional instead of unidimensional. This is what I speak on nowadays. I was at Anand yesterday and day before in Gujarat, where I spoke to the Institute of Rural Management students, and they were the same thoughts and topics came up. So as we go along, I'll share more thoughts, but I think one needs to be an all-rounder and be multi-dimensional.
I think a very beautiful message, very loud and clear, and I'm sure the audiences who are hearing us are already getting inspired, sir. So, moving on to the next question. So, do you think finding success starts with finding your purpose first? And in reality, there is no success without significance. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think you have to find your purpose, but purposes and goalposts, they keep shifting.
Right.
So if we look for material purposes, like I'm going to be, let's say, an anthropologist, or I'm going to be a professor, I'm going to be a civil servant, I'm going to be a lawyer, a top lawyer, I'm going to be a doctor. So these are material goals. Of course, they are good goals to have because you have to be ambitious and successful in life, and you're studying for that purpose, and your family will also be happy. But I would say that the larger goals have to be that I will be a good human being, I will be receptive to others, I will have empathy for society and underprivileged people, I will be caring, I will be a good communicator, a good conversationalist, a good listener. Today, people are not good listeners, unfortunately. I will spend time with those who need my help, like the elderly or children or poor people. If I have such goals, such purposes, then life becomes a little better and more complete. If I confine myself to my job, my career, my this, my that, my money, my power, my fame, then it becomes a little less.
Very true. And I think that is what the reality is. Looking at the big picture, we always keep targeting at shorter goals. I want to excel in XYZ, a company that I'm working with, or probably in my family, I want to build a relation with such particular person. But then it's about the bigger picture. If you become a better human being, I think what better than that? And success is going to come your way in whatever, perspectives of life you enter into. Very beautifully
Absolutely.
quoted, sir.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next question, since we talk about success, which is a very wide, this thing, a term that people use. For somebody, success could be owning up a simple car, or for somebody, it could be having a bungalow, or for somebody, it could be having 10 lakhs, 5 lakhs. So they say success is very subjective, and the term isn't, it doesn't really have a descriptive parameter to it. People have different perspectives to success. So, what would you say to the youngsters out there who really struggle to define what a successful life means? Or is there a true definition for that matter?
I really love this question because my book is called Finding Success Within, as you know. And that book talks about this. And I talk about the fact that success comes from within. And
Right.
when you are peaceful in your mind, when you sleep well, when you're happy, of course, it's very easy for me to say this because I've been through the civil services, I've been through a career. Nowadays, I'm into my second career of being a speaker, traveling and meeting people. I'm ambitious to that extent. But if I have inner peace, I have happiness, I have calmness, I am healthy, then I think I'm successful. So success is not linked to money. And money is something which is required in moderate quantity. But a car which can get you from here to Chennai, maybe the smallest car which costs about maybe these days about 4.5 or 5.5 lakhs, it can get you from here to Chennai. And the Mercedes can also do that. Now, if you'll be more luxurious or feel better in that, that is a different aspect. But how big a car do you need? It's endless. Your desires can be endless. One is never happy that way if one has that kind of mindset. A big house you want a bigger house. If you have so much money, you'll want more money. So the desires are endless. And human beings can never be satiated with those kind of desires. I mean, let's take a lighter moment. I know there are lots of students here. So Vicky Kaushal and Katrina Kaif got married. and obviously the honeymoon period is on, and they're delighted, and it's fantastic. 1 or 2 years down the line, I'm not saying there'll be problems, but there are arguments, there are tough times, there are ups and downs. Every marriage goes through them. So we cannot take one achievement to be the best successful achievement ever. Nothing will give us that success which we are craving for if we are looking for it in material objectives. So we have to find true happiness. That is true success.
Very, again, a beautiful message out there, and I think that is how the youngsters today, because it's the trend of social media today. Anything that they would want to see, probably, it was time when they used to hear a lecture for one, let's say, an hour. Now they've shifted to YouTube. Now YouTube also has shifted to YouTube Shorts, and now they've
Yeah.
come to Instagram Reels. They don't want to,
I also have
invest.
Instagram Reels and
Yeah,
YouTube Shorts because I know people watch them. So I
that's
give
true.
these 2 or 3 points within those reels, and I know
Correct.
that I get more views on that.
Very true, sir. And that is, it's like you are actually basically spilling your life beans to us in this short reels that we'd say. And that is how I'm sure it's a great learning for everybody out there. I am, for sure learning a lot. So moving on to the next question, sir. Many people think that they're already too old to succeed, while some think and some believe that it's never too late, late to write your success story. So, what is your take on this statement? Is there a time frame when one can be successful, or can one be successful any moment? So, what is your viewpoint
Yeah,
on this
it's
one?
again a brilliant question because we are at different stages of life, and there is actually the Almighty God has to be with you at every stage of life. You may not believe. Some people say we are atheists. We don't believe in God. Okay, you believe in truth. You believe in a superior, supernal power which has set up this whole universe. Then that is God for you. So I would like to say that we need to connect with that Almighty very soon. And whatever age or stage of life we are, the Almighty shows us the way. And age is a question of mindset. So there are people who are 25 or 27 today and they feel that they are old. And there are people who are 65 or 75 or even 85. I met Fauja Singh actually. Fauja Singh is the centennial runner. He's 100 and he's 107 now, I guess. So he started running at the age of 85 or 88 or something. Earlier used to be walking and all, but a marathon runner at the age of 100. And even now I think he runs. There was a lady who passed away recently from Chandigarh, Man Kaur, and she was famous. She was also above 100 or something. So people like that, age is nothing for them. And let me say that today's lifespan is such that in their 70s, I've seen people who are zipping around,
Yeah.
and they are really really happy and excited about what life has to offer. I'll give you a share because this is my favorite share nowadays. It comes on WhatsApp. It came to me, and I'll use it in all my sessions. And there are various phases of life. So those of you who don't understand Hindi or Urdu, I'll try to translate it because I know that students might be from various parts of the country or world. So the share goes like this. फितूर होता है हर दौर में जुदा जुदा. फितूर means passion. फितूर होता है हर दौर में जुदा जुदा. पहले खिलौने, फिर इश्क, फिर पैसा, फिर खुदा खुदा. So this is what people do, and this is not mine, but I love it. And
Yeah.
this is what we go through. First toys, then romance, then career, and then you come to God. So if you bring in God early in your life, when you are playing with toys or when you are romancing around, that is the time to bring Him, and He will help you. So I think
Very
it is a mindset thing. You can achieve anything. The human mind and body can achieve Mount Everest. They can scale the highest peaks physically, mentally, and it's only a mindset issue. Age is not an issue.
Definitely. And I think I was about to ask you a cross question on this one only, that what about people, like you said, 25, and they feel as if they're too old already, and they think the world's problems have been attracted to them. And then
Yeah,
they keep blaming, this is my destiny, or probably why am I the chosen one? And that's in a negative sense per se. So, I mean, of course, like you said, it's the mindset, because otherwise you be at 50, you can feel 25, you be at 25, you can feel as if you're 80. And specifically for
absolutely.
teenagers, I mean, I've seen issues coming up, like how they just fear anything and everything that comes as a negative, blow to them, because probably the parents have kept them in such a soft shell, a golden shell, that they think the world is a golden shell to them. But then when the world really shows their realities, they get scared, and then they have problems. And then I think that's how it's, starts changing their personality as well. So I think, like you said,
Absolutely.
it's the mindset. And so you've been a great motivational speaker in terms of parenting styles as well. So the last session when we talked about, so I think that is again a feedback from there, that it's about parenting and the mindset. What you infuse in a child is how he's going to be in the later years of life as well. Very
Absolutely. When you ask me the next question, I'll add something on this also.
sure, sir. Sure. Sir, so moving on to, since we were talking about you being a motivational speaker, you've been the face of TEDx and whatnot. So can you tell about a motivational talk when you felt the audience really connected with the subject matter, and why was that so? I mean, one such thing that you've never forgotten when you took the audience to an awe, which you always do for sure.
Thank you for that. Yes, I've become better and I'm more aware of my audiences. I'm more aware of what I'm saying. I'm more in control of my own self, and that helps me to. It's a slightly higher level thought process which I've learned. If you control yourself and your emotions and your mind, and you are feeling on top of your game, then the audience will lap it up. So basically, what comes from the heart goes to the heart. This is the saying. And I have many workshops and sessions on public speaking skills. Many of the students might, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram or LinkedIn, you can do that. I will help you with your public speaking oratory skills. But in my own memory, and of course, there are more than one, I must humbly say, that have been wonderful and superb. Well, let me talk about a session that I had with the elderly. There is an organization called Grace Shades, and Grey Shades helps the elderly to be active, to be creative, to maybe paint and sing and dance and do some things like that in their later years. They're all above 70 or 75, and they get together. So Grey Shades invited me to speak. I'm mentoring that organization, and the great part is that all the members of Grey Shades are youngsters. They're in their 20s, and they look after the elderly who are in their 70s and 80s and 90s also. So I came and gave a talk to them, and I told them, I said, I have no business to give a talk to you because you're all older than me, and I have much to learn from you. But they humbly, they were very humble, and I tried to be very humble as well, and I shared whatever I could. I think that receptivity, that those, even they had at times tears in their eyes at what I said, and the connectivity was fantastic. The appreciation was wonderful, and though they were physically weak compared to what they might have been a few years ago, they were clapping loudly and they were cheering and they were, hugging me at times. So I was getting blessings. So no session ever, I think, could match that one.
Beautiful. And I think I can already imagine you being in that scenario and people actually connecting and feeling. And sometimes, it's overpowering that you don't know how to express, and then you fall short of words. I can
Yeah.
see that beautiful smile on your face and the feeling that would have been.
Thank you.
So another question from here. So you've been motivating people of ages. What motivates you? What is your, morning cup of motivation? So we want to know that key mantra as well.
Yes, so two things. One is that somehow some people are blessed with skills.
Right.
They're blessed with maybe the ability to dance. You've seen West Indians or even Punjabis. I mean, the dance steps come naturally to them.
Right.
Someone like me, a cricketer, but dance was not coming naturally to me. All I learned was that there is this move where you say, "Ke ye bulb badal rahe hain," that sort of thing. You're dancing, and pata nahi koi aise kar rahe hain, so you're dancing.
True that.
Something, yeah, whatever it is. So I learned that. So it didn't come naturally to me. Cooking doesn't come naturally to me. Singing, I'm okay, not too bad, but there are certain things which are difficult for me. But motivation is something which has come to me as a blessing. I never feel demotivated. I never feel low. There was a time, as I said, when I couldn't become a cricketer. I cried for many months. I went to college and I was low. But then I must add the second thing, and that is my wife today. And she came when I was in third year in college. She was in first year. We met in college in Kurukshetra, NIT Kurukshetra, where I did engineering. She did engineering. So she came, and then I lost, I left all those negative thoughts behind. And we have been together since then. It's been fantastic. And she's a great motivator in terms of just being herself. And
Right.
she is also the one who जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि हवा निकाल देना, तो मेरी हवा भी निकाल देती है. जो मैं कहीं से बाहर से I come with all kinds of trophies and all kinds of कोई shawl दे देता है, and then photo in the paper, and then likes and followers, and there's this big influencer, all of and you may have seen Beer Biceps. Some of you follow him. Beer Biceps or Ranveer Alavadia, many of you follow him. Now, even the students who are online and were not listening to me till now, they are also listening to you and me, Mahima, because Beer Biceps is really someone who's a craze for the youth. And he interviewed me in October. So he is a great friend of mine, and we get along very well. So I was on a high, and I become famous because of that, and I have more than 5 or 6 million views on YouTube myself. So the thing is that all these highs, but she tells me to remain grounded, and she motivates me to be balanced and humble. So even that is needed. So I think it comes to me from within, but definitely the people around me help.
Definitely. And I think that's the beautiful message that you've given, that keep achieving as much as you want to, keep sky as your limit, but at the same time, stay grounded, because that is the key. And I think that is where people usually, fail in handling stardom. I've seen many people reach such height and then fall like how, and then they're, not to be seen anywhere basically. So handling stardom in itself is a trait, and you have to stay grounded. Only then can you maintain that and be consistent about it. Again, a very beautiful message, loud and clear, sir. So, since you've been writing some great books, so I have another question which is related to your writing. So, does writing energize you or does it exhaust you? I'm sure it doesn't exhaust you. And how have you always dealt with the writer's block? I've seen series, I've seen people as writers. I myself have felt motivated to write, but then probably didn't have the courage to probably invest that much time. And I've heard about writer's block as something that people usually fear, usually great writers. So, how do you usually overcome such kind of roadblocks?
So, Mahima, the thing is that writing is therapy. And in today's stressful world, I think everybody should write, even if you write for yourself and you don't know how to express yourself very well, but still you should write. I think speaking is also therapy, but writing gives you a kind of, the space is between you and the computer or the keyboard or the pen and paper which you have. There's nobody else involved. Okay. Writing is a single person activity. There cannot be two people writing one thing at the same time together. They can be writing separately. So you are on your own and you are expressing yourself on paper or keyboard or whatever you're typing. So I think everybody should write, first of all. Secondly, some people can write creatively. I find myself, as you said, it's definitely energizing. It is, I personally keep saying this, and it's very non-humble of me, but I say this, that I'm a better writer than a speaker. And if I'm a good speaker, then I'm a very good writer, thankfully. So the thing is that I write this column every fortnight, and it comes in the Hindustan Times. So I challenge myself. I have to think of a topic. Like I wrote on Sunday, and now it's Thursday or Friday today. For 10 days from now, I have to write it, and I'm ready with my thought. I'm ready with my topic. I know what to write. I will sit down and write one day. But I have 4 books, and those books came not so easily. It takes time to write, 6 to 8 months for one book, and then it takes another 3 or 4 months. So 1 year is a project for the book. But when I started getting published in the paper, it became easier for me to get published as an author. And today, being a motivator and author goes together for me. Finding success within, and it's still a wonderful life, are my latest books. I think for you, I would say, and anyone else who has a writer's block, I think it's just a little bit of a fad actually to talk about the writer's block. See, you can always write. Sometimes you write well and sometimes you write badly. But you can always write. I think you must write if you can. And I always do this, that if I'm not writing as well as on the previous day, still I go ahead and write 500, 700 words. And then the next morning, you might be a little more sharp. You edit it and you prune it and you refine it. But when it's your job to write, you must write. So don't let that be an excuse.
I think that is a very nice answer to it, that people usually, like you said, even if you're not sure of what you're writing, and if you are able to express what you actually wanted to, at least write something. What people usually do is, I've seen they don't write at all, and then there is a gap, and then they miss on the consistency, and then it's really hard for them to connect the dots, sit back into the same setup in the same frame of mind that they were, and then start writing and probably continuing from where they left. So like you said, keep writing whatever comes in your head. Absolutely. Very, very rightly said, sir. So, moving on to the next question. What is that one change the learners of today should adapt right now to help them get closer to success?
Um, just repeat the whole question again.
So, the question here is, what is that one change that the learners of today should adapt right now to help them get closer to success?
Yeah, so it's an inside job. So basically, that change has to be from within. What you need to probably adapt to be a better, successful person, your learning, your ability to express, your communication skills, your you know something, but when it matters in an interview or an exam, you have to express it, or whenever you're in a meeting or PPT presentation. So my point is that it's an inside job. So if you're firstly your calmness has to be of a high level. If you are calm, then you will perform better in an exam or interview. If you are nervous, you reach at the nick of time, or you are a little late, and then you are dizzied and rushed. You could have been much better in practice, but in the real thing, you will be worse. What is the point of that? So in sports, they say that you're practicing and practicing, but actually you have to be at your best when the big match comes. So you prepare yourself mentally, and secondly, you start becoming a little more strategic in your output. That means, like, I am a mentor to a civil services academy, Vivek IAS Career Academy. People can find it online and contact them. So if you're preparing for the civil services, any service, so I always tell the students there that you have to have a strategy of maybe an 80-20 rule. And that 80-20 rule is that 80% of the time you are focused on what you have to do, and 20% of the time you let yourself relax and go and enjoy yourself. You'll do better in that 80% because of that 20%, because of that relaxed mind. You played the guitar, you did some dancing or some sports, you come back on Monday and whatever, and you're doing better at work. So that is strategy. And then in that 80% also, you have to have a strategy of performing. Output is important, not input. So how many hours you put in is not really important. And then success will come if you are receptive to new ideas and innovative and creative. So it's a long answer, but I think that gives it.
Absolutely, sir. And I think it is just in a similar manner, the internet is flooded with 50 such skills. But then the most important that you said today is something that's the biggest problem. People are not really patient. Youth today is impatient, like how they want everything in a click of mouse, or probably, whatever they say, even before they say, they want things to happen. And when those things don't happen the way they are desired, they desire it. I think it's a big problem there and then. And they just give up like how, and we know the story then. So like you said, patience is definitely the key. Once you have the patience, I think all the skills that you mentioned and the internet is flooded with will start falling in place for sure. So
Right.
moving on to the next question, sir. What do you think is better, being a big fish in a small pond or being a small fish in a big pond? I think we've been debating on this topic from quite long now in group discussions and with students. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think I think first of all you need to know how to swim. So it doesn't matter what you are, which big fish or small fish you are. So you have to swim in whatever waters you have. So being in a big pond or small pond, there are people who have come from very small schools or village schools or colleges which are not very well reputed, but they are outstanding. So they were in a small pond, and they did not really have the company of peers who were excellent, and people who were really really good at their work. So I think it is very important for everybody to do well in whatever circumstances God has fate has placed you in. So I think you do your best, and you see, I have an uncle, Mr. VK Kapoor, a former DGP, and he says quality matters. So he says, whatever you do, do it with full zest and quality and effort. If you are high quality in a small pond, you will go to the big pond and be recognized. There are people, as you know, today there are influencers even on Instagram. There's a girl from UP, I forget her name, maybe 16-year-old or something. She's amazing. And she might be from the smallest town, and she only has a small phone, and she's on Instagram, and she has follower after follower, and she says a lot of beautiful things. So it doesn't matter where you're from. What matters is where you end up. And
Exactly.
I have a quote which came about very by mistake, I would say, or I don't know how it came. I have 8 TEDx talks. So one of them is um, on this issue, and the title of that talk is life is not about marks, life is about making a mark. So you have to make a mark wherever you go, and marks, etc., are only stepping stones to success.
Very true. And I think absolutely agreeing and vouching for what you said. It's the impact that you leave. वो बोलते हैं ना सर कि आपका काम बोलना चाहिए, आपको नहीं अपनी इंट्रोडक्शन देनी पड़े. इतना काम
ठीक है.
करो कि आपका काम आपके लिए बोले. So exactly the way.
बिल्कुल.
Moving on to the last question, since the time doesn't allow. So, sir, the last question here I have for you is, they say human wants are unfathomable. We were talking about that as well. So they just keep multiplying and multiplying, and it's just endless. Dil mange more is actually a reality at whatever age. So, what is your mantra to satisfaction? How can one find success within and reach the highest stage of euphoria?
I like the last part, highest stage of euphoria. Now, the thing is that, euphoria is also relative, unless you're talking about the ultimate aim of life, which is self-realization. So this is a very important question, and I put it in that share which I told you about. So I think you will not find happiness and success unless you find peace with yourself. So we have to conquer the self. And the scriptures, the spiritual teachings, all religions say the same, that God is within you, and you have to find him, and you have to find that peace within. And God is not some person or some figurehead. These are only representations of God that we see in our mythology or in our religions. So they could be avatars, or they could be people who lived but they were godlike. And the thing is, the qualities that they exhibit. So there are 2 paragraphs in the Gita which talk about 26 qualities, and these 26 qualities will make a perfect human being, godlike. None of us is perfect. All of us are imperfect in this world. That is why we are here, to become a little better. But those 26 qualities we have in some measure, all of them. So fearlessness, for example, and remembrance of the Almighty, or empathy for others, or caring for others, and not non-covetousness, etc., are in that. So the thing is that desires will never end. Desires are going to be beyond one desire after another. And I was saying somewhere in a recent session that out of money, power, and fame, the desire for fame and popularity is very difficult to let go. So even saints who have conquered all other desires, all desires, they do have this desire for appreciation. And if you praise a saint who has just delivered a sermon, even he will blush, or she will blush, because that praise is something which everybody looks forward to. So I think ultimately, if only one desire is left, and that is the desire for appreciation, then you're doing well. You can't overcome that very easily. So till then, keep trying and improving, and little things matter. How you speak to others, how much you control your temper. I speak a lot on emotional intelligence, and I'm glad that a lot of youth are focusing on that today. But I'll be very happy to contact, or anyone contacts me on social media and follows, I'll be happy to answer the questions later as well. I think you have asked tremendous questions, and I really am impressed with the interview that you have conducted. So well done.
Thank you so much, sir. Means a lot. And I must tell you, sir, that you are an exemplar of the statement, words have power, and that power can actually move mountains. So you have been an example of that. And I must admit that your life journey and successful achievements in career speaks volumes about your work. We've all had plenty of takeaways and actionables to take home. Wishing you huge success, love, and luck your way, sir. Thank you so much for joining in. It was an absolute pleasure, sir.
Thank you, Mahima. That was wonderful. And thank you all students and viewers. And it's a pleasure to be speaking for MMDO once again. See you again, and all the best.
Thank you, sir. Wishing you a good day. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Stay tuned for further sessions. Thank you. Have a great day.